Hello, everybody. We're still having some trouble with this open broadcast software. I'm not certain that I'm going to be staying with it. We've determined a couple of problems. It does not interface well with my webcam. Yay, thank you for confirming for me that we have audio. I can see that we've got a little bit of a visual too. But yes, we're having trouble with the audio despite changes that we've made in the mic settings for the desktop speakers and for the TV monitor speakers, and turning off speakers in the webcam and only having it on the Globe microphone, which is the one that I use for my voiceovers and normal recording. But we still have some reverb. And the other problem is, even though this is filming in 1080, the quality is not coming out as well. I compared it to one that I just did in a quick unlisted YouTube live tonight for 2 minutes. And even with YouTube recording at 720, it was better than what is showing right now. So we're going to try it one more time. And if I can't get it working enough that we've lost the quality of the picture and the quality of the audio, we're just going to put it aside until I can get better equipment, and we're just going to go back to YouTube live streaming, even though YouTube live streaming, I won't have the intros and the outros. But that being said, hey, we've got some mail call. So we are giving away a card each month now. If you want to enter up in that Google Docs right there, I will be throwing that doc out each month and starting a new one. So don't worry, we're not keeping your addresses. And yes, I do send them international, so over to Europe and over to the US, and of course all throughout Canada. So there is that if you want it. And I got some mail call in. So here's the part where I can tell that it's not going to be as good of a quality, and I apologize to my dear crafty friend Carrie over that. Carrie sent me another card. Look at it. It's so sweet. It's got limes instead of lemons in a lovely green, because she knows I love that kind of pistachio bright green. And if you tilt it just enough, you can see she's got a little bit of shimmer on the lime too, and then a lovely mottled plant pot, and then like a tufted embossing folder in the back with some ink smooshing, and of course some shiny bling bling. So thank you so much, Carrie. When we go back and forth, we send each other cards all the time. We've got a couple of wonderful friends that we do that with. But hey, that's what we're card makers for, right? And I can't show you the inside because, as usual, she writes the best letters. She's just darling for that. So Carrie, I'm going to tuck you aside, and while we're at it, I'm just going to show you a couple of other things. Now, these are only on for a couple more hours tonight, but I'm just, again, practicing and getting used to this program. The Scrap and Stab ones, they'll go for a little bit longer, but those are just the companies that I've got my affiliate links for. And I'm, again, practicing jumping between scenes with this. I seem to have a little bit better handle on it, but again, I'm concerned about the quality. So what we're going to do tonight is work on a card with this Serene landscape. Now, I just ordered this stencil not too long ago with the gift certificate that I won from winning the Inspiration Challenge. Thank you very much, all to new. And I hadn't got it when it was originally out, and I was pleased to find that it had all these extra layers in here with trees and stuff like that. And I thought I would use it again, but do it in a duller, like a different color scheme to go with what's happening kind of with the wonderful sunsets that we're getting, unfortunately, because of the fires. And so I'm going to want to do it in like more of reds and oranges and yellow tones. And so I'm using the Altenew Serene Landscapes. I am using one circle out of the photo play, and this is just dots, the dots stencil. And then for the inside sentiments, we are going to have Spectacular Adventures and Graceful Gardenias. I've got two mixed there. I might be using the Rustic Burlap press plate for it. And for the two sentiments on the front, we are using the Scripty sentiments, Sending Sunshine, and the One Go Solid sentiment strips. keep shining your light. So we'll have a play and we'll see where we're getting it to. And I can see that you are wearing earbuds and the audio and reverb doesn't seem too bad today. Wonderful. Okay, because we did do a couple of changes. I turned down the decibels on the global mic, and right now I have got the speakers on the TV monitor muted, so hopefully that they are not giving feedback to the audio. But it still seemed to me it wasn't as good of a quality as what I was getting in a direct YouTube live stream, or what we get when we film directly for just the normal videos. Problem with the normal videos, and I think why so many of us are moving to lives, oh my gosh, guys, if you haven't edited, you don't know how long it takes. Number one, you got to do the card. And we all know that mine typically take me much, much longer if I'm doing the really complicated, detailed ones. But number two, after you get the card done, so your card is anywhere an hour to 3 hours. Mine are typically more like 2, 3, 4, 6. The editing, the rule of thumb is basically a half hour to 1 hour for every minute you end up with. So you guys have noticed that I do my videos like 9:09, 10:10, 11:11. And so I typically, for a normal video, spend lately 4 to 8, 10 hours editing one video, and it takes up so much of your time. So I think that's why we're all moving to live streams, because all you've got to do is a little bit of prep work beforehand, you know, getting your stencils ready, getting your, you know, product pulled out, getting the die cuts done if you've got any of them. And yeah, the last live was also with OBS, so it as well wasn't good quality. Oh, I didn't start the recording on that. Whoops. Thanks for reminding me over there in the chat. But YouTube will be recording it as well, though. But YouTube records it in 720, and this program records it in 1080. So I noticed that when I was going back in and reviewing that there's not as much clarity between, you know, what the keyboard layout was and the keyboard layout in normal filming or in normal YouTube. But anyway, enough of that. So what we're going to do, we're going to lay out some colors here, and we're going to start with the top part of the stencil. And we are going for a sunset style of sky. So we're going to get our big blendy brushes out and lay that guy aside. Scooch my chair up here a little bit. And for the skies, you want a bigger brush if you want to lay it down in a really light wash, because it helps so that it doesn't put those brush strokes in quite as much. Now, I will be coming back over this with the oranges to create more of a sunset style sky, but I want to lay the yellow down first because it's the lightest color. And you can see I've already put a little bit of a brush mark in there because I'm trying to do this so quickly. But I'm laying the yellow down first because, being the lightest color, it's not going to matter if the others go over top of it. And also, because we're creating a sunset sky, it's not going to matter as much with this if I do have a few streaks in it, because sunsets do as well too. And yes, more people, creators on YouTube, are going for the live streams as well. It seems like it's what everybody is kind of wanting now. I know that I have to get used to them because I have got my Altinu Educators final workshop coming up at some point. And excuse my super big hoodie today. We were only about 17 degrees today because we finally got rain. Yay! We've got a huge forest fire going on about 45 minutes from us. We've got another one where it took out it took the town out again, like it did with Lytton a couple of years ago. This was Clinton this time. We've got friends up in Clinton. Well, my brother does. And so I'm trying to find out how bad it is up there. But we just had one 2 days ago, literally about 11, 15 miles that side of us, on the other side of our mountain ridge in the river valley that runs on the other side of us, because we got a smaller river over here, and then we've got the huge river on this side. So, you know, it's getting scary. Last year was worse. We had one that was not quite a mile, 3/4 of a mile right over the other side of the mountain, and it was coming up the mountain towards us. So that was hairy, but they water bombed it right away. Nothing like what so many people all through the world, France, Spain, Canada, the US, are going through with the wildfires. So I know this is kind of funny, me doing it in these tones, but on the other hand, it's also my way of dealing with what's going on, that I'm going to try and turn a really horrific event into something hopefully that'll be a bit more positive. And of course, look at that. It's a good thing that's where the road is going, because me with the ink, and I have got it where the road is already. So we, right now, am I going to do that? No, I'll come back in later with that one. So I'm going to lift up layer number 1. And oh, look at that. My stencil is moving. It was not stuck down as well as I thought. Well, it wouldn't be me if it wasn't a catastrophe, folks, at some point in the game. So we have got a vibrating sunset. So here is a number 2, and what I did was I put satin tape where the edges of the stencil roughly are going to go. You're still going to want to line it up. I think what's happened is my card has shifted too. My sticky mat is not as sticky as it once used to be. But yeah, you're ultimately going to line it back up with where the actual card is working. So we'll work that into the mountains in the background. We might have more mountains fading into the distance. Okay, and so for these ones, we want to bring in the blue tones because these are the mountains. And I'm going to put a little bit of purple in them, because when you look at the ones that are farther away, that's kind of what you get, right? A little bit of a purplish hue to them. So let's bring out our larger blending brushes in those tones. Yes, horrible summer for fires. I think, unfortunately, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse until we can get a handle on this climate change. So this one, because I'm actually in the part with the card, I'm not going to be able to compensate as much if I mess it up. So I'm being really careful here. And it's laying down pretty good so far. This one has more landscape around the edges to stick to the sticky mat, and that's the other reason why it's probably not shifted as much as that first one. So we're bringing in a little bit of darker blue, and we're just going to tuck that down towards the bottom. And I've got to be careful here that I don't go over where that road is. So I'm just going to use my fingers as a stopping point. I could just put a little bit of masking tape down there too. Okay, and tuck blue away, bring in purple. And the purple, we're just going to go across the top as if it's got a glow from the sunsets. Okay, because that light, which has an orangish red hue, when you mix red with blue, it creates purple, doesn't it? And the other thing that you can do with the stencil, with the brushes, if you move it back and forth on an angle like this, you can actually get changes in your tonal values. So it'll show the differences in the mountaintops like this. So you can see I'm just kind of dabbing it in a couple of places to show that those mountains aren't completely smooth. Ours are quite jagged out here in Western Canada. I think these would be more like the Appalachian ones, more on the eastern side. Okay, so we've got those guys in place. Remember to tuck that away. Make certain hands are clear. Okay, we'll tuck our blues away and our purples away. up towards the top. For the most part, I'm lucky in that I can get these lids on pretty quickly. And for the road, that one, I'm going to come in with a gray. So I'm going to grab out jet black and I'm going to grab out silver lining. Because this is getting towards dusk. And so this is going to be kind of twilighty. And you can see I did the same thing that I went and got some of the navies on where the road is. So hopefully this will color it over and give some texture to the road. Okay, so farther away things get lighter. So we'll keep the gray more towards the black, which is the silver lining. Clean and organized. Right now I feel it's a horrible mess. But thank you. And I use the same blending brush for both the black and the gray. I've got everything pulled out because I wanted it to have it ready for this stream so that I wasn't tying everybody's time up. And then using that intermission thing. This is my intermission one that I was playing around with a little bit too much. So, yeah, I'm like, stop doing that just because it's funny. Funny to me, at least. I just remember the old drive-in theaters, and he would go run for popcorn and drinks and stuff. And oh my gosh, you guys remember the speakers on the windows? And oh, it was good times. You could go with your parents, and it was just a good family outing. But you see the where I had the blue streaks, that has already kind of covered it up with our road here, and we've gradiated it back towards the back, so it got lighter as it went back. All right, we got layer number 2. Let's tuck those guys away and lift up and see how we are. Oh, I do have a problem with that orange, but I might be able to just put a tree down on that later. And now this stencil, number 3 layer, has got a split. I don't know if you guys can see it. If I move that back and forth, you'll catch the reflection. So it's got a line here and then another here. So that's showing me that it's got different areas that it wants you to use. And so this portion is for the trees on the back of the mountain line. And so I'm going to put it in spot, and we are going to use an oak moss and a green onyx for this, which is like a dark and a mid green. So I'm going to get out my darker blending brush again, starting with the lighter one. And because we have the blue so light, it's just going to go over top of that, and it won't create mud because blue and green are analogous colors, and they will blend together nicely without creating that. If anything, all it's going to do is give it a little hint of a blue color from the distance. Okay, so we've got a little bit more that we need to put on this side, because you can see I'm a little bit darker there. All right, that's the oak moss. Oh, cute intermission. Yeah, do you remember that too? Did you go to the drive-in theaters with your parents? And let's be very careful with the green onyx. This is a very dark green, so I'm flicking it up from the bottom to get the shadows in the trees and concentrating it more towards the outsides. So it's going to look like a forest off in the distance. Okay, that's how quick that was. So the other part that this stencil has I'm just going to give this a wipe though off of the mat. And when you've got the jagged edges like this, wipe down so that you don't end up like dragging it with your wiping cloth and then bending them backwards. But this is the portion that also has that other part of the mountain there. And so because I've already messed it up, I'm going to have to try and fix that top part first. So I'm going to just angle it in there. I'm going to get this corner and then I'm going to move it again. And I'm going to need the blue back. And we are just going to put the two blues out. Now, because this is the mountain that's a little bit farther away too, I could have just gone in with what was left on the brush, and before I continue, I can tell I'm a little scared about that, so we are going to mask that off. Just tuck it in that corner, and a little bit of the darker blue. Okay, and now I'm going to reshift it to catch the rest of that. I could have realigned it at a completely different angle too to create another mountain in the background. And I think I'm going to switch to my smaller brushes on this one, considering it's a smaller area. As this dries, it's going to blend back anyway. And this is the other thing that you have to check with your stencils. Even though you line it up over top of the other part, there's going to be little edges where it doesn't quite get, and you'll end up with a little white line. So if you just shift and bring that back in, you can get them again. And you see how that actually looks like another mountain behind? So let's accentuate that. And we're going to do the top part of that mountain a little bit farther back and up that. And so it'll just be another mountain ridge coming in. Behind. This is why I'm doing these practices too, because it's giving me an idea of all the things I really need to check for. On the other hand, it's giving you guys, oh, okay, that can go wrong, and that can go wrong, and that can go wrong, and this is how you kind of compensate for it, right? So we've laid the blue down. Again. And let's bring a hint of that purple in. Now there might be enough left. And this one that I've created in the back, it might have enough left on the brush. And this one, I'm just going really lightly on it. And then when I shift it down, I'll go a little bit heavier on the one that's more towards the front. But yeah, it just shows you, okay, well, what can we do to help correct up something that I kind of messed up and had an oopsie? Your other choice normally is like putting a tree or some other embellishment over top of it. Just need a little bit there. It's a little bit still that white line. Okay, there. It looks like there's 3 mountains there instead now. Yay! And this has got a portion down here for the hill on the one side. So let's move these guys aside. And I have some odd colors that are almost going into fall type colors for the dried grass that we all seem to have right now. I was looking out over our complex. We live on the side of a mountain, but we are in a strata complex. And we do have lawns up here. We've got a forest right next door to us, of course, too. But the grass that we do have, it's browned off already. So that's the effect that I'm going for. So I'm just going to try and keep that steady down. And we've got pumpkin pie and yellow ochre, which are kind of a browned out yellow and kind of a yellowed out orange. And we're going to do this kind of motley, because you think of how grass is when it gets dried out. And I thought that that would go with the sunset that we've got going up on the top. Yeah, no, we're up in Canada. Yeah. So we live in the coastal mountains. We're not quite in the Rockies, but the Rockies are gorgeous. If you ever have the chance, drive through Canmore, which is where towards Banff and Lake Louise and Moraine Lake are. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And then as you move towards Calgary, you'll see the Rockies, the foothills behind you, and then you start getting into the prairie. So yeah, we're on not quite the most western part of Canada, because there's still Vancouver Island and there's still Vancouver and what we call the coasters. Because the people that live at the coast are city people. We're not city people. We like it that way. We're still country folk. Yeah, I grew up 6 years old. I was driving the hay tractor. Dad had blocks on the wheels for me. So, yeah, I still drive a standard pickup. Yep. I don't think many people in the city know how to drive a standard. Apparently, last stat I heard, only 18% of the populace can now drive a standard transmission vehicle, a stick. So with that burnt out grass, though, there are going to still be some parts that are going to have a hint of green. So we're going to bring in swamp green in just parts around here and blend in. Oh, I think that one's a little dry. Yep, that one's a little dry. And it will create a little bit of brown in some areas, but you're going to see that because the dirt is going to start showing through with that grass as it dries out and it starts laying down flat. And grass is okay for doing that because it is built that it can go through a dormant period, and then when the fall monsoon season hits, the rains will revitalize it. And yes, Western Canada, all of Canada has got some gorgeous scenic areas. And down through Washington and Oregon as well. Oh, for sure. We're very fortunate to live in the areas that we do. And you see that one part there? You see that little line I've got? Just right next to where the road is. So we're just going to bring the green in, and it doesn't matter that I carried over because I still have to get the other side of this. But first, before I do, I am going to wipe it off. And I think that's not the right stencil, but that's okay for wiping it off anyways, right? Let's see. That's probably this first one that I used. I'm not familiar with this stencil set yet, as you can see, because this is only the second time that I've used it. My Christmas series this year, I thought it'd be really fun to do most of them with kind of hills or some kind of landscape in the background, and that's when I discovered how fun this one was. So I'm just checking. Are we dry? Yeah, we are. Okay. So this part covers up the road and brings in that bottom meadow hill behind you. And we'll see if we can work on that orange smudge that I put there. I don't know if that side is going to hold down well, so we'll put the satin tape on this side, and we are going to come back in with our yellows and our greens and mimic the meadow on the other side. But this one will bring, oh yes, good. All right, we covered it up, guys. Catastrophe, covered it up on that one. Yay! So let's 2 semi-recoveries, although I can see I've got the sky kind of messed up there, but I have a plan for that, so hopefully I'll be able to work some magic in there too. Okay, and I'm just double checking. They've got the names on the bottom. See, that's yellow ochre, and I was going to put the pumpkin pie lid on it. So match yellow ochre to it. Pumpkin pie. Now remember, we've got more of the orangey browny yellows up near the top and not as many towards the bottom part. So we're not going to put quite as much of that on that side. That's the one I think that was a bit drier too anyways. All right, let's bring in that moss green and mix it through. And the other thing too, that as it gets closer to you, you're going to see a little bit more of the blades of the grass in it, a slight texture. So the stuff towards the front does not need to be as smooth of a blend to it. So you can start flicking your brush like this instead of your soft circular motions, and it will give it that texture, that interest and variation that you kind of want to see towards the bottom. And we still have to have just a hint of green going in towards the back. What I'm going to do in a moment is I'm going to lift up the other side of the stencil just to see how much the two sides are matchy-matchy. We don't want them completely the same, but enough that you can tell that it is sort of a themed landscape. And did you see how that had that one ink smudge that just sat on top? This is accent cardstock, and it is not as good for absorbing the ink as the Nina Classic Crest Solar White or the Prism Solar White. The hammer mill is really good for foiling, but it does not take ink blending that well. Accent is kind of just your average all-around one, and because I knew it didn't really matter what my ink blending was going to look like on this one, I wasn't too worried about it. And okay, this is the difference between having one of those bigger brushes and trying to lay it down with the small mini blending brush. They're great, but if you've got a pad that is a little bit dry, sometimes it can take a little bit longer to get it laid down. All right, so we're going to lift that guy up. Let's just give it a wipe just to be on the safe side, because I'm just double checking that I'm dry on the back, because I am just going to relay it down in that spot very carefully. I'm just going to tuck my tape there, because I just need to bring in a hint of orange in that one spot so that the sky isn't quite so shocking in that one part. So let's tuck. All right, green and yellow, and let's get one of the oranges. And what color have we got on that? Do I have a spare? Yeah, that'll do. Okay, and I think it needs just a bit there. All right, so we have kind of our burnt off grass with the super orange sunset that we're getting because of the fires there in many parts around here. We're all in this together, guys. because I know the U.S. has got, what is it, over 40,000 this year, and I think we've had about 900. And like I say, France and Spain, it's horrible. There's people, so many people that have lost their lives because of this. Your inks are always smudging. Oh, everybody's do. We've all been through it. Yeah. Also, I forgot to fix 2 catastrophes, and I brought another one in. This one has got little spots for the sky, and I forgot to mask them off. So now we have little spots in the sky. But I had, like I said, I got a plan for that portion. So hopefully I'll be able to cover it up. But what I am going to do now, though, is give it a little bit of texture. So I'm going to tuck the stencils aside. I actually remembered to put a bin beside me with water this time, but I don't want to do that quite yet because I might put some on the inside of the card. So I'm going to take our panel off and give her a wipe down on my sticky grid. We are getting out die cutting machine. And that embossing folder, not embossing folder, excuse me, embossing plate, press plate, we want to run it through and see if we can get some texture with it. So if I check my instructions, it'll be the same. As if when you're running a die cut through platform base, platform top, A, B, all right, this guy, and you're going to lay down your embossing mat and your adapter plate and angle it a slight bit at an angle so that it goes through your die cutting machine easier. Less wear and tear on your roller plates, right? So let's see how we do. I also have that part that the squishy embossing mat, it comes scorching out the back end there. Ta-da! It's textured now. Okay. This is where I should be playing my Be Right Back for you guys, but I said I wasn't doing it, so I'm not going to. All right, put that aside. And now we need our sticky grid back in, and we have some of the solar paste, and we need one of these circles for the sun that's going in the background. So we'll get out a palette knife, and this is where I am for sure going to need some of the satin masking tape, because we only want one of those holes. And you see, if we just tuck one of these guys in there, it's going to look like a setting sun. So let's take this and grid it off around the ones on either side of it. And then go over to the back. Take your stick off of it so that it doesn't have any chance of tearing up your paper. I'm just going to fold it over, hoping that it doesn't add too much bulk to the back and that I'm still able to lay that down. And we kind of want the sun just in that one portion there where the mountains have that V at the back. So we're going to need a bright yellow. That is the golden hour solar paste for this. Take a little dab will do ya. Hold it down flat. This is where nails come in good. One wipe. There you are. There's your sun. Okay, this is where I am throwing it into the water right behind me, because you want to get this solar paste off as quick as possible. But what does this setting sun have around it? It has lines around it, doesn't it? So this is where you can take what is left on your palette knife, and I'm just going to grab another one and slide it down a little bit further. And we're just going to do some drag lines around that sun, because, you know, there might be some smoke in the sky. There might be just some clouds in the sky. Maybe they're going to have rain coming later, as well as just some atmosphere that you want. And so we're just going to drag them around. I feel like I'm Bob Ross right now. Happy little sun in the back. Just putting in some happy little lines. So adding in some atmospheric effects with that solar paste. And the reason why we're doing this now is we wanted to have a chance to kind of dry before we start adding the elements, the rest of the elements of the card, and running the chance that you're really going to have a catastrophe and smear it up. Now, as I'm going out, I'm dispersing them a little bit more so that they're spreading out, but they're not as thick as concentrated. And then I can also come in with my finger and just kind of blend them out a little bit here so that you're getting those sun rays coming off. And see how that one doesn't have the arc that we want? And this is the tricky part, is just getting right in here. Let's push it down again with our other palette knife. And thanks for bearing with me, guys. And the added texture really adding to the card. Oh yeah, no, mixed media, it's about adding layers and layers. And hopefully they all come together in the end, that you haven't overemphasized one. The neat thing about mixed media too is it always gives people something to go look at through the card and find the other surprises that they've got, right? So, intricate work here. Who says card makers aren't artists, hey? Oops. Oh no. And where am I missing some? Okay, so this one we want to drag out a little bit more. Same with this. See, in this part, I've got no worries about putting my fingers in it, but I can't stand Versamark on my fingers. Go figure, hey? Okay, does that kind of look like sunset to you guys? Good? Okay, excellent, thank you. And because that's only one color and I didn't contaminate it with anything else, I am going to tuck it back in. And I find if I run it across the lip that's down at the bottom, and then the other thing you can do is tap it down. It'll help to take some of the ridges out of the top, and because then it just has less air exposed to it, it dries out a lot less. The other thing that some people will do is give it a spritz with water as well too, but if you do that, make certain it's like more of a distilled type water. I did that once with one of my embossing pastes, you know, the white ones that are creamy colored, and the next time I opened it up, it had mold all across the top. I had to throw it out. So we also have some orange we're going to lay in there, but we've got yellow down towards the bottom, which was the golden hour, and the orange is the overheated. And that's the one that we're just going to lay a couple of streaks up here because the orange is towards the top part of the sky. And when you tilt it, you can see the difference between the two colors. It's really nice. And remember that because this is farther up, I'm going to smear it a little bit more. Could actually just put it on my finger too, but we've carried on with it at this point enough with the palette knife that we'll just continue on. So that's giving us that glowing sunset way behind the mountains. And it's catching whatever it's catching in the sky to make it glow like that. Okay, same thing. I will tuck that down along the edge. I used the press and seal to help seal it down, keep the air out of it, forms a tight air barrier against that. The other thing you can do is put elastic bands around, the old broccoli elastics. I don't happen to have any right now, so this has been working for me, and I do have my pace out quite a bit, as you guys all know. Therefore, it should be fine. All right, so we've got our basic panel done. Our palette knives are wiped off. Our sticky mat is wiped off. We'll tuck that aside. And here we go with the next step. Let me just take these inks all out of the way for us. I'll put them away later, but I'm getting to the stage where I can't stand the mess on my desk. Okay. And let's see, can you guys see that? There we are. So we also have the solar spray. And if you finally missed this across the top, it's not going to look like splatter. It is going to look like golden sunlight, atmospheric effects through the whole sky that you're looking through. Like, you know how you can never capture those sunsets and sunrises with your camera? This kind of gives it. So I'm quite up high with it, and I'm giving a spritz, very fine mist. We want to concentrate it around where that sky is. And there you go. Wipe your nozzle off at the end. Tuck your solar spray up in with the others and remind yourself that it's time to order more of that. So let's get the splat box out of the way here. See? What do you guys think so far? See if the camera can pick that up. And you see how it kind of brought it all together? All right, so we're going to set him aside to dry. Let's work on the inside of the card. And this is part of the prep work that I was doing beforehand. So I've got to make certain that I've got clean hands again. And I do have a bit of solar paste stuck there. Excuse me for a moment, everybody. Because this would be the stage in the game where Jer would get ink splooshes on top of her card. I am not afraid of ink or paint or paste on my fingers. As you can tell by the catastrophe that they are with the staining. Another friend and I were joking about using the red mica sprays, and then you go into the grocery store and you look like you've been in a crime scene. I'm speaking of crime scene. I think for this one, why don't we go for some red on the inside of that card, huh? So we'll start out, actually, and some yellow. I'm going to grab the fresh lemon out. Okay, so start out with your lightest color. Now these stamps have already been rubbed or used so that they've got the manufacturing stickiness off them. And let's see how we do. Gently, gently, because you've got a finer sentiment underneath. And mine is not picking up in the middle. Okay, so there's the yellow, which is going to add a base layer, and then we will start our ombre. So we're going to tap more along the bottom with the orange, and then we will bring in an orange blending brush. Let's wipe across the top and slightly across this one, and that will start to help blending those out so that you will get an orange all the way across, but it's going to be darkest along that bottom sub-sentiment. You see? And that middle part on my poor old Misty is not wanting to take the inking as well. Now, to end it off, we're going to switch with our red brush at an angle just along the bottom. And Annette, I know that you were practicing this too. So these are some of the ways that you can get those ombres across your sentiments without having really harsh lines. It's more difficult with the ones like this because they're quite a bit finer. Now I can see I've got, it basically looks orange and then ready orange. So I'm going to see what I've got left on the blending brush and just bring it in a little bit along the bottom of that one. Okay, and a little bit more here in the middle with the warm. And that's the other reason why I wanted to do the warm colors on the inside, was because it says a warm hello. You're too cool for the summer. Okay, so that's the inside done. Let's give these guys a wipe off. We're going to take our card out and grid back in. Misty is getting set aside. I'll pull the stamps later. And the other thing that we're just going to do is let's grab out the stencils that we had, and we might just do the skyline. Now that's not a long enough one to mask off, so I've got part of the non-stick, the less tacky post-it tape there, and let's just bring in a little bit of the tree line in a really, really light green. So just really gently kind of bring it like this, just to get the top of the trees, being certain not to catch the blue that I didn't wipe off there when I was fixing that one mountain. There. And then this one, we could, no, I think I'll continue on with the green. Just wipe what's left off on the stencil onto the card, just so it's got a little bit of hint of the road there. Okay, and where is my other side? Here we go. No, I did have it there. Excuse me while I fuss with this. I've got it in a different spot from what we had with the original one. So it should be somewhere about. Yes, okay. Yeah, that works. Hint of brown for the road. Very light so that you're able to, right over top of it, bring in the other meadow, a little hit up near the top. Fading it out as it goes down towards the bottom. And what we might do is just bring those trees down a little bit. Okay, so grab the trees again. This will add a second line of trees in. You could flip the stencil over as well too, if you wanted to put it in the other direction to add more interest from what was happening on the front so that it wasn't a direct mirror. Of what was going on, and I have got to get that last little bit of white in there. Okay. Tuck those aside. Pull our post-it tape off. I stick it on the side of my shelf over here, just continuously reuse it. And let's get this to the back and made with inky fingers. Looks like a good one to do. So let's grab out the orange because it's not too in your face. Red always seems so aggressive, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. My splat box, I threw it down beside me, and because I've had to tape it together with painter's tape, it was just from some boxes that arrived with orders in. It has relieved itself again, and the painter's tape is let loose, and it needs to wear its fat jeans, I think. So there, I made it with inky fingers. Yay! Customs down. Done! Let's wipe all these guys off. And I'm just going to add that to the stash that we got growing behind us on the fireplace mantle. This is a third room craft floor, so it's cold in the winter and very hot in the summer, and the air conditioner is all the way at the other side of the house on the front, and we have to use 2 fans in the middle to push the air through to me here. And because I wear long sleeves, because of blood thinners and a blood pressure problem, heart problem, I have bruises all over the place, and I just don't like people seeing it. And of course, like I said, right now it's a little bit cooler, so that's why I've got the hoodie on tonight. All right, are we doing a little bit better? I'll give you just a little bit more chance to maybe dry before we tuck him down. But we have the sentiment that I've already done. And we've got some trees that we can add in there too. So I used different shades of craft cardstock, and I just cut them out with a very old tree die set that I have, which I don't have the name of because when I first started crafting, when? 2014, card making. I've been crafting since I was 5 or 6 years old, but I didn't know that we were supposed to keep the brand names like we do now for all this stuff, right? And so I've just had them forever. They always get used at Christmas time. And what we'll do is we'll just strategically tuck those trees around. I gave them spritzes with mica stains. So like the balsam and then holly green, and I can't remember what the other one was, just another one of the greens. And we are just going to place them here around the front, and then we are going to put our sentiment over the top like this. But I'm going to get out my handy dandy little cheat sheet, courtesy of Kathy Zilski's ideas. And I know that you can get these from Simon Says Stamp, where they actually have a grid that shows the rule of thirds. So you can see that we've kind of got the sky in the top third. We've got the mountains here pretty much in the mid third, and then the green is down towards the bottom. So I want to bring that sentiment, you can either do it here in the middle, and it looks kind of weird there. To me, it would look better if it was weighted down towards the bottom. So we will get our trees glued down and then get our sentiment glued down. And then we'll probably put some shiny, shiny bling bling on it. And I think I smeared my son a little bit. Yeah, so he's not completely dry. And I don't want to take a heat gun to this because solar paste and the others, you can cause them to bubble if they're not dry. Now, that's a neat effect if that's what you're going for, but I don't want the sky bubbling. So let's get this guy first. Just pop this down super quick. I have to stop overthinking things, right? I'm always analyzing, well, where would this look best? And does my intuition say that that's the spot? So now these are each a different size. So we've got the smallest in the back. We want the biggest in the forefront. Do we want the green one in that? Yeah, that's better, isn't it? Keep the balance. Bigger ones in the front, smaller ones in the back, lighter colors in the back as well. And the glue that I've got in here is a mix of the Simon Says Stamp, Craft Tacky Glue, and Aleena's. And what this is also going to do with having those on either side, it's going to help frame up the picture as well too, so that your eye will be drawn to the center, to the sentiment that's going to go across that. The micas, it depends how long they dry on how much you actually put down, and if they have spots that still look wet quite a bit later, you can take a paper towel and dab them off because they're not going to dry properly. You've put it down too heavy. If they have been laid down too heavy, they will rub off a little bit in your hands. Okay. So there, we got a little hint of the road showing behind. And actually, we're going to cover up a lot of that road, aren't we? So maybe we move the sentiment down a little bit more. Now, I'm not going to pop any of this up on foam tape because it's going through the mail, and I do want a flatter profile for this one. Now for this, for the shadow layer, I just used some old yellow gridded cardstock, and then I had a light orange cardstock that I ran a pink blending brush along the bottom to again cause a reverse of like that sunset that we had happening up at the top. So you've got a repeated element from top to bottom. You've got a repeated element with the trees in the background, repeated element with the mountains that you've got there with the hills on either side. And again, don't overthink it, Jer. Just put it down. So I am sending sunshine. I had thought of possibly bringing in a sub-sentiment with that one go, but I don't know now. If we're going to put it in, we're going to have to put it up above, right? And I don't know if we need it now. But let's just tuck this aside, being careful not to get the sun portion. Just hold that down. Let's just run it through and see how she looks anyways. So I've got the press plate down. I've got a pair, like a piece of the watercolor paper. So that's Canson XL, which I am running low on and can no longer get at Canadian Tire. Now, red velvet might be a little bit too dark, so we'll pop back over here to crimson, and we are going with Keep Shining Your Light. And the more that I look at this now, you watch when we get it cut out, I'm going to show you that I'm thinking it's going to be too heavy feeling for this. The other choice that I could do is wipe that off. And let's go with a really light orange maybe. Now, these plates will stain because of red. Red stains everything. You can't get away from it. And even though there is Better Press ink, I find that these inks work just as well with it. I'm just going to give it a wipe around. And wiped around and took part of that off. Way to go. Okay, it's got magnets I set mine so that the better press always shows here at the bottom, and I've got the top and bottom taped so that it does not shift in there, and then you can run it through repeat times if you need to. You can actually ombre these as well too by running it through successive times with different ink colors. So it's picked that up. Is that going to show up? This might be an ombre situation. So we're going to tuck the chamomile back up. And let's just bring in a little bit of that mid-orange. My mind's having to think backwards because the plate, of course, has got the letters reversed. So I'm just tapping along the top portion so not as much of the ink is going to be there. All right, we'll lay this guy back down again and hope that we get a good impression. The custom-made stamps, I ordered those a couple of years in a row from My Scrap and Stamp, which is one of the places I'm an affiliate for. As far as I'm aware, they're no longer doing them. They ordered out to someone else. You had to have your order in by beginning of November, and then they showed up right for Christmas, so it was a nice Christmas present. I'm lucky I got 7 of them when I did over the few years that I was ordering them, because I haven't found them again. I think that Kathy Zilski on her website, like on her blog and on her list, I think she has a place that she gets those ones where you push down on them and you can get custom stamps from them too, and you just put your logo in and what words you want, and then you can get them. But there's a few other places, but that's where I got mine from. I also have one custom one from Altenew. So they're around. You just have to search for them online. Okay, and I like that a little bit better, but I still don't know if it's going to work with what we're doing with the card. So let's tuck this aside. We'll snip it down with our guillotine trimmer and see if we actually want it on the card or not, right? You can use a piece of Post-it note too to hold this, but I am doing this quick and dirty tonight. I'm just eyeballing it. Okay. Just because I have a feeling I'm not certain if I'm going to like it on the card. And then doing the same distance on the other side that I had it out. It needs to be closer. Bear with me while I do this. This is the one part that I didn't do ahead of time because I wasn't certain what color I wanted to use. I'll just get rid of the scraps. And grab your reverse tweezers out, and what you can do is just audition it in spot. So I had originally thought to put it underneath there, but you see how that really bottom weights it? I could put it up in this, excuse me, in the sunset, which would, see, but then I would have to put it about that level so that it mirrored the distance that this is from the bottom. But keep shining your light. That actually might go with the sunset. And you know what? It's just a card. Why not? Let's do it. So are we even? Are we even? Good enough. It's just a card. Don't overthink it. They're going to be happy to get it. It pleases your intuition. fine. So I want it about fingernail width and side to side. Luckily, the burlap plate that we ran it through, the press plate, let's tuck it a scotch down, and then I've made the glue show. This is the other reason why I love reverse tweezers, is getting a little bit of that up. Give that a squash. And the last thing, shada shada bling bling time! Woohoo! After, of course, I forgot, we still have to... Hold on, I'm gonna do it to you. Here we go. All right, I'm back. Sorry, my perfectionism just reached a stage where I was like, I can't take it anymore. Must clean. I'm one of those horrible clean crafters where, you know, everything has to go back in its spot right away. So we need to carefully set this down on the front of the card before I can attach the shiny, shiny bling bling. And I might as well snip off the sides of the trees right now. I'm being careful not to touch that paste because I know it is still wet. So here we go with the snippety snips. And again. And again on this side. And I am wondering, with this having gone through with the better press plate, if I have much change in the dimension of the panel. When you run it through with the embossing folders, sometimes you'll get it stretching the fibers a little bit. So it did measure out fine in the beginning. Let's just double check. And you see how now it's a wee bit wider than the card? Look at that. Wow, it really did actually give it a little bit extra. I will chop it down once it's dry. I'm just going to get the panel on right now rather than risk smearing that, putting a line in it before it's dry. So I want to have some slip time. So whoa, get grip on it, chair. That's my carpal tunnel in action. And for my friend Annette, it's Mr. Smiley. Well, we can really see him. Very fine lines of glue so that it doesn't curl as much, but you want to have a little bit more on this because of the texture from the burlap plate. Your other alternative is ultra sticky tape, but as I said, I wanted to have a little bit of slip time with this to move it back and forth so that we had it in spot. Because once that ultra sticky tape goes down, it is down. Okay, and I will just get this out over the bottom portion again, being careful not to hit that solar paste that we had at the top. And I thought that because we have all these colors going on in the background, we've got the oranges with the slight yellow, with the purple and the blue. So blue is a complementary of orange and purple is a complementary of that slight yellow that is there. And then the greens are more of a yellowish green so that they blend in with that. And then those ones are that bluish green so that they tie in with the blue. I thought if I put a bunch of colored enamel dots or confetti discs on here, it was just going to push it over. So I'm keeping them all the same tone with my favorite. Annette, you need to put me on with This Calls for Confetti. Or actually, I need to put myself on with This Calls for Confetti. These are the Prism sequin confetti. I love them. They are my favorite. Shiny, shiny, bling, bling. And so where do we want to? We want bigger ones down towards the bottom. And we want some of the smaller ones up at the top. And this is the other thing. I had to make certain that I wasn't squeaking as much because we found that that was the other thing that was causing the reverb problem. And we need more on this side because we've got a couple of trees over there. So let's start doing a little rearranging. And picker pens, most of them will have a different color on either end. I use the gold for the gold picking tool, and I use the white for the white wax tip. And Carrie, you are so welcome that I shared that tip with you. I always have my triangle tray out in case I am dumping in another manner. But here's where I'm just going to fuss with these a little bit. Do I want them up around the sun? I want a little bit. Okay. So right now we could be causing a swirl like that. And as I said, we want the bigger one over on this side and more towards the bottom. And it does look a bit weirder down there on the tree. I need one or two more. Just to kind of rain light down. Over on this side, and we need a mid-size one. So what I'm trying to do is have them so that they're kind of in patches of 2s and 3s, but with different distances between them. And I've got that set, so this is kind of that same distance, and it looks weird. But if I put it there, then it's too, you see how it's like it goes in, it's too far to the inside. So it's like, let's see what happens if we bring it out like that. And then that's too much like that side to that side. So let's try it down there. No, that looks like it's going like that. Hum. See, as Kathy says, you can't make fetch happen. Okay, we'll go with that. It's just a card. You're just sending a card out. Maybe put that guy up. Oh, I like that better. Okay, let's go. And that was that little orange mark. I'm just further hiding it up, tucking that in. See, what this is going to do is going to cause you to come down like this. You're going to follow this line, and then you're going to come up this side. And there we go. So that's the finished card. Okay, get this tucked away again. Get these guys out of here. Tools away. Now, it's not completely dry, so I'm going to be very careful when I show it to everybody. But yeah, bring it up, and you see this shimmer on it from the atmospheric sunlight coming down, and then the shine from the solar paste from the sunset that's there. Keep shining your light, ties in with the theme that we've got of the sunset light coming down through, sending sunshine, again tying in with the sun. And we have a swirl of sequins drawing your eye around to this sentiment and then down to this sentiment. That's top third, that's sort of middle third, and there's the bottom portion. and then opening it up, a warm hello, you're too cool for the summer, with a little bit of the stencil down below, and it's still light enough that you can write over top of the inside of it. And sorry, I didn't have that quite in the middle. And just custom stamp on the back. Okay, so there we go, everybody. We got it done. And I am thinking of one friend I can send this out to that, as I said, is battling with the forest fires right now. So thank you to everybody for helping me test this out again. I'm going to watch the playback again. And yes, we must have shiny, shiny bling bling on them. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it for a quick card and pretty much basically a one-layer card for me. There's a couple of the trees on top with the sentiments, but that's fairly flat for me. You see the profile of it. It'll go through the mail quite easily. Yeah, so everybody, go be that change you want to see in the world. Thanks for joining me. As I said, I'm going to watch the playback and see if this is a program we want to keep going with. If so, we're going to have to do some changes. We've got another camera we can still try, but it's going to be another huge learning curve, and I'm still not really happy with the audio, especially not with the picture quality that's here. I am happy with the transitions and the ability to put in scenes and the promos and the mail call thing, intros and outros. I still cannot add a crafty chat unless I actually get it to open up another web window. And then what it does is on this, here we go, on this side here where that white part is, it's going to put everybody's chat in on that side. And, you know, sometimes we just don't want to have that recorded and on a screen because that's going to be stuck there for like, right now I keep it so that the live chat does not stay. Just because, you know what, if we're in here and we're chatting, that's between us. You know, if someone wants to join the live chat, they can be around for the feed. But, you know, we do get onto some neat subjects sometimes and some heavy, sensitive subjects. So I'm keeping it now that the live chat is not going to be saved. So, and thank you to everybody that's coming in and watching this after. I know this is late at night, but we just thought it would be best for testing it at this time, just because there's still some uncertainty about the program and stuff. Okay. All right. So, and thanks everybody for using my affiliate links and all the people that are spreading the word. We're really trying to get to 1K. We need to get me monetized. There's a reason behind that, on not being able to access my pension until next year. So, yeah, it would be nice to have something come in. So, I very much appreciate everybody that's been watching and sharing. It's so hard to get into the algorithm. It does help to put a like on. It does help to put comments in on the feed itself, like once it has done the processing on the replay. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everybody that's doing that. And as I said earlier, let's just all be that change we want to see in the world, okay? Thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
I'd be so glad if you guys spread the word so we can get me to 1K. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.